Hey everyone, I'm Deep, the IT director at Massa, and I wanted to kind of do a video to allow you to get an introduction to Gravit, which is what we use at Massa to do all our graphics. So I think graphics is a very, very big part of contributing to Massa. I think graphics is a very big part of our marketing team and the way we choose to get event attendance. Gravit is a great program to do graphics in because it allows you to easily structure your graphics and easily layer everything so it's all organized, and you can see, you can group stuff into multiple layers, you can name everything, so on and so forth. Graphics is a very useful skill. In industry, you'll use graphics a lot. And I don't mean just for your job, it might also be when you're trying to start your own sort of business or you're trying to do marketing for yourself, you might find yourself being in Gravit or in Photoshop a lot. I think Gravit, we use Gravit mainly because it's free and it allows us to manipulate graphics in a very similar way to Photoshop. Anyway, so we're just going to give you a brief introduction to Gravit, and I hope you do appreciate, I hope you do get something out of it. So this is an event banner, and this is for our old event. I've just taken it so I can give you a demonstration on how to change a couple of things. So I'll just push this a little bit back just so that it looks like what it was before. So there we are. Now say we've got a new event and we want to create a graphic for that new event. So the first thing that you'd want to change is the title, the text, the time of the event, and the location of the event. So to change stuff, just double click, delete whatever's already there. Might be a little bit slower than normal just because I'm using screen recording software. So I'll do another event that's coming up, which is Picture Partners Lunch. Now you'll notice here that it's run off a little bit. We'll fix that up in a second. But what I wanted to show you first is how you can resize the text. So to resize, make sure that firstly, this is turned off, so scale font on resizing. That way, when you change the size, it will actually scale the font. So here, I'm just going to resize it to be a little bigger than 25. So let's do a 27, right? And then what I'll do is I'll put the lunch on the next line, and I'll move everything down. Now to select multiple things at once, you use the control button. So for example, I'll select that one, the shift button, my bad. So I'll select these couple of things and then I'll move them a little bit down. There we are. And you can see that it now fits into the square. If you do need to change this, so what you do is here in the layers you can see everything from top to bottom. So for example, this CA logo here, so it's the first one, I've just clicked on it. And the CA logo is sitting on top of every single element. And this is how shadows work as well. So anything that's sitting on top will give a shadow to the thing that's under it. So that's how this all works. I just realized I spelled picture wrong. But that's what you do, right? You try and fail and then people prompt you and then you fix it up. Anyway, so yeah, you can see that that's worked pretty well. The other thing that you might want to do is change the gradient of this background here. So for doing that, what you got to do is you got to go into this fill thing, and here you can see the linear gradient. So this, for example, is the left barrier, and this is the right barrier. You'll just need to click on one of these and then change the color, like so. So there you go. I've changed that to black, and I can change this to green as well. There you go. You can also change the opacity as well. So if you want it to like fade out, something like that, you can do that as well. Feel free to play around with this as much as you want. We really appreciate taking your time to make a great graphic for Massa. That's only going to get us more attention, more event attendance, and greater responses, better sponsors. So feel free to play around with it as much as you'd like. And yeah, I'd really encourage it. It's really encouraged in the IT team. So that's all well and good. Just Control Z to undo. And then we'll also change the background image. Now you saw there's already a background image underneath this. So what I want to do is change this one, the city one, into that one. So first what I suggest you do is you find the background image. If you just hover over these, it shows you which one it's selecting. I think this background image is this one. You can test it out by moving it around. It is. So I'll just go ahead and delete it. To import a new image, so you can see I've got some images in the background, but to import a new one, feel free to go into import, place image, find the image, and place it onto the graphic. So once you've found the image, for example, let's take this image, you can move it around a little bit, change some characteristics of the image. For example, if the image is too dark, feel free to make it a little bit brighter. It's probably a bit too bright. And you'll also need to place it underneath. So make sure the layers are correct. So it's not up here. The image should be underneath everything else. Next, you'll also have to do the sponsor logo. Select. Sorry. This is Samir here. We're both doing this tutorial. I think it's good to have someone to bounce ideas off of. What were you saying?
Yeah, so one tool that sort of helped me when I started in the graphics portfolio was Subselect. It's a bit hard to figure out, but it lets you sort of customize the certain shapes. So this was actually originally a square, but because we wanted to sort of have this interesting slant shape, we sort of just use the Subselect tool, and you can mess around with the angles and stuff to make it look good. Another important feature was also resizing text. So you have this button here that allows you to scale font for resizing. So when you change the size of the image, the text will automatically become bigger instead of you having to manually change the size over here.
Yeah.
And if you want to change the dimensions without changing the size, then you can sort of just have to unselect that, and that's something that's sort of important to keep in mind.
Yeah. Do keep in mind that sometimes this does cause problems, so try and keep it unselected unless you actually need to scale it after you've done saying the text and stuff. So finally, sponsor logos. Have a look at the newsletter. There's in the graphics folder, there is a folder called newsletter sponsor logos. And newsletter sponsor logos has all the logos there. So I've opened it up here. And you can see that there's proudly sponsored by, and then there's a lot of logos. Maybe perhaps copy and paste some of these logos into the graphic that you're editing. For example, we had a Picture Partners event, so I'll just copy the Picture Partners logo, paste that in. You can see it's pasted there. Move it onto here. If it does go underneath, you'll have to move this up top, like so. There we are. Now we can see the logo, and resize it to fit. If it does resize like that, obviously then it's weird. So instead of doing that, what you can do is you can press Shift, and that will resize it so that the aspect ratio stays the same. I'll also get rid of the other logos that are already on here. Just give me 2 seconds. There we are. And there we are. It's just a Picture Partners logo now. So that is a quick tutorial on how to edit graphic images. Now, what I also wanted to discuss here was when we do publish it onto Facebook, there's certain dimensions that we want to kind of stick with. So I'll just give you a rough idea. Just give me 1 second. I'm just copying something over. There we are. So this is the guideline for graphics that we do create. Now, don't pay too much attention to the numbers themselves, because what we've done is we have to scale that number by a factor to actually work with Gravit. If you do use these dimensions, you will not be able to render the graphic so it's crystal clear. It'll have a bit of a blur for some reason. So instead, we've used a dimension of 3840 by 2160, which is just 1920 times 2 is 3840, and 1080 times 2 is 2160. So keep it to that aspect ratio whenever you're working with it. If you're making a website banner, for example, times these by 2 as well. So do 3140 by 1400, and this one again times it by 2. So 2160 by 2160. So that way it'll appear crystal clear when you go out and render it at the end of the day. Alright, that is pretty much all we had to discuss. Now look, I know graphics can be very intimidating when you start off. I know that it's not for everyone. So if you do have any questions or if you're stuck and you really need help, feel free to reach out to Samir or I, and we can always step in and help you out. Yeah? Alright, thank you so much guys. Do you have anything to add? No? Alright, awesome. Thanks for listening and hope to see you around Massa.